Proverbs chapter 6 and from verse 4. We'll start the conversation and end it in verse 11. Let me read what you are reading in the New King James Version so that we can be in sync here. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter. Now, if you observe the conversation, you might be thinking this is spiritual warfare, and it is. But it will soon shock you, perhaps, what exactly the writer was writing about when he used strong terms like deliver yourself. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter and like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, you sluggard. The word sluggard is lazy. Consider our ways and be wise. Which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, and let me add pastor. He has no overseer, has no pastor, has no ruler. Provides our supplies in the summer and gathers our food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. Everybody say, God forbid. So what we want to consider today is the wisdom of wealth. The wisdom of wealth. I believe that the book of Proverbs is like a business book. However you want to look at the book of Proverbs and many other wisdom books, Ecclesiastes inclusive, Job, and some portions of the Psalms, even the Songs of Solomon, they are like business books. Somebody will say, well, the Bible is not the business book, and that's true. But when I say business, I'm talking about the business of life. The books of wisdom teach us two major things in the business of life. It teaches us how to overcome or avoid and abstain from the losses of life. It warns us against actions that will make us lose out in life. Life is like a business, actually. The greatest loser is the one who loses his soul. What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? But beyond losing your soul, there are other losses. Somebody may keep his soul, preserve his soul, be saved, but then he experiences so much losses because he has not learned the wisdom that abstains from certain decisions, choices, and actions that will lead to losses, colossal losses. There are many spiritual people who have experienced colossal losses. Their losses are incredible. And you wonder, come on, you have the Holy Ghost, come on, you're a Christian, come on, you're a child of God. Why is this your experience? Because of a lack of wisdom. So, wisdom teaches us to abstain from anything that will cause a loss. Some people have actually lost their physical life, not because there was no provision of protection, but because they did not walk in wisdom. They would go to heaven, and when they get there, they will not really be welcome because they came before their time. And it will just be traced to the fact that they did not accumulate and execute sufficient measures of wisdom. So, if you read the book of Proverbs, you will notice strong warnings against wrong choices, wrong decisions, and wrong associations that will lead to the loss of something that is supposed to be valuable or precious to you. But there's a particular example in Proverbs chapter 7 from verse 4 down to the end. I would like us to just read through and establish these points. This is very, very important, and I was supposed to probably teach on this concept holistically, the wisdom of choices, but we don't have enough Wednesdays in this month, so I will just say a few things in that direction. Now in verse 4 of Proverbs chapter 7, it says, say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your nearest kin, that they may keep you from the immoral woman. And if you are a lady, you can say from the immoral man, from the seductress who flatters with her words. So wisdom, if you say to wisdom, you are my sister, wisdom will keep you from a particular kind of woman. Are you listening to me? For at the window of my house I looked through my lattice, and saw among the simple, I perceived among the youth, a young man devoid of understanding. Listen to me. This thing we are considering tonight, the voice of wisdom is still shouting, is still warning, is still lamenting. Don't be like a case study. Don't be an example that wisdom will use to warn others against the dangers of foolishness. Don't let your life be an example. This man here, this young boy, was an example. It's not because there was no opportunity of learning, but you know the year word. A simple young man devoid of understanding. Go to verse 8. Passing along the street near a corner, and he took the path to a house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And there a woman met him with the attire of a harlot and a crafty hat. She was loud and rebellious. Her feet would not stay at home. At times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face, she said to him, I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows. So I came out to meet you diligently to seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. Go to verse 22. Immediately he went after her as an ox goes to the slaughter. Everybody say to the slaughter. Foolishness will take you to the slaughter. Foolishness will make you a scapegoat. Foolishness will turn you to Christmas chicken. So wisdom cries, wisdom shouts, wisdom warns, and says the losses will be too much if you don't take me as your sister, if you don't embrace me as your brother, if you don't become intimate with me. He says immediately he went after her as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till an arrow struck his liver. As a brother sins to the snare, he did not know it would cost his life. Now, the loss was too much. He could not even recover. Now, therefore, listen to me, my children. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. For she has cast down many wounded, and all who are slain by her with strong men. If you are strong, but yet you are foolish, you are ultimately weak. Yeah. You are ultimately weak. I'm a strong man. In whatever capacity you measure your strength, if you don't know, if you have not learned how to avoid the path of losses, I mean, you'll be so easy to target, so easy to get. All who is slain by her with strong men. Subsequent verse, our house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. Is that the last verse? So let me say this emphatically. One of the things wisdom is trying to teach you is how to make choices. Because there is a way that seemeth good unto men, but the end is destruction. And most of these ways are packaged. This woman had a flattering tongue. She was a seductress. She was very religious. She said, today we are going to give peace offerings. All is set. She convinced the young man that her husband was not around. There are many things that will look very harmless and very safe. It is wisdom that will teach you to avoid losses. Are you listening to me? One of the reasons why you have to learn wisdom as a young man. Don't get to age 70 and all your life will be just regretting. Because by the time you do your balance book, you notice the losses are so much. Too much. There is little gain. Lost this, lost that, lost this, lost that, lost this, lost that. So wisdom will teach you how to make choices in the business of life. But wisdom will also teach you the many profits you can gain if you make the right choice, if you make the right move, if you associate with the right people. Wisdom is not just to warn you against the losses of life, but to teach you and equip you towards the profit of life. Life can be profitable. Life can be productive. You can end on the winning side. You don't have to be the loser. You can keep your soul, keep your youth, keep your life, keep your strength, keep your health, keep your home, keep your marriage, keep your business. You don't have to lose everything and say, at least I've gained heaven. How many things did Jesus lose? I say, at least I made heaven. I'm going to heaven. That's not the way the Christian is supposed to live. Wisdom will teach you how to profit in the business of life. There is a very strong link between wisdom and wealth. Solomon was a very wise man, and of course he was a very rich man. There was somebody called the rich fool in scriptures. Of course, somebody can be wise and rich. Somebody can be rich and foolish. But I'm saying to you, the possibility of being rich and wise is very strong. You can combine both of them. Are you listening to me? Joseph was not poor after he became prime minister. His wisdom rescued the entire nation. So there is a strong link between wisdom and wealth. Even though the conversation tonight is not just a monetary conversation. We're not just talking about money tonight when we say the wisdom of wealth. There are many other things we want to look into, because the phrase wealth is not just a monetary term. Some people have inherited money. Their fathers were rich. How many of you know the feeling of receiving an inheritance before? I know most of us are young here, but if you know the feeling of receiving an inheritance, okay, just a couple of us. Of course, if your parents are not late, you may not. But some of us have godmothers or godfathers or big uncles who wrote your name in their will. My father is late. I did not receive one spoon from him, so I don't know what it feels like to receive an inheritance. But I'm telling you, you can receive an inheritance and still die poor. You can receive an inheritance of billions of dollars and still die poor. So it is one thing to receive wealth, it's another thing to maintain wealth. Are you listening to me? The prodigal son received his inheritance. He thought that was all. He did not have the wisdom of wealth. That you know how to collect money does not mean you have the wisdom of wealth. You can collect diamond and still die poor. There are people who have won lottery into millions of currency. And then 5 years later, it was very evident that they did not have the wisdom of wealth. The money they saw on a platter of gold and obtained by luck, they squandered everything. They went back broke. They felt that maybe they win another lottery. Well, you'll be a very lucky person to win 2 lotteries in a lifetime. Even some people live 1 million years, they will not win 1 lottery. Some Christians that play Naira bet, if they live forever, they will not win 1 lottery. I say if they live forever. If they never die, their head is that unfortunate, quote and unquote. Well, God did not design that kind of means for wealth creation anyway, so it's a waste of time for a Christian to be playing Naira bet and all of that. It is not the way God has orchestrated for us to be wealthy. Are you listening to me? So, wealth is not just about learning how to collect. Some of you know how to collect money actually. You know how to collect money from your rich uncles. When you post that WhatsApp status of crying emoji like this, people say, hey, what do you want? Say, no data, no data. You know how to, but you are a squanderer, you are a waster. You know how to collect. Collecting money is not a problem. If some of you go to the bank and say, give me my bank statement, and check how much has entered your bank account, we are in October this year, it will shock you. Say, they're not giving money like that. Yes! You know how to collect. But knowing how to collect is one thing. Knowing how to manage resources is another thing. So what we want to discuss today would involve management of resources, value addition, wealth creation, and how to prioritize in life. All of this makes up the concept of the wisdom of wealth. This class, please pay attention, not just for your present. Some of you are not salary earners yet, but it's something that you find useful as you progress in life. The economy of the world may not get better. Listen to me. The economy of this world may not get better. It is the wisdom of wealth that may separate you from the poor in future. The wisdom of wealth. Not even the covenant of wealth. There were many Israelites who had access to the covenant of wealth. I mean, the Jew had a covenant with God. Every Jewish person had that covenant. It was the covenant of wealth. God told them, I am the one that gives you power to make wealth. And that was not applicable to just a set of people. But there were still poor people in Israel. And most times it was because there was no wisdom of wealth. No wisdom to manage their treasures. No wisdom to handle certain incomes. And they all squandered and wasted it. So the things we'll discuss tonight, please put them in a very safe place in your heart. They will be very useful as you make progress in life. And then beyond, even when you start earning millions, or when you are a big man, start practicing these principles even now that you have not yet bloomed. Are you listening to me? Yes, sir. Start practicing saving investment principles from teenage years. I was a teenager when I knew you don't spend everything you earn. You have a colo. If there was no bank account, you have a colo. It was just common sense. I didn't go to any business school. It was just common sense. Like you cannot spend everything you earn. Are you listening to me? Some of you waiting to be billionaires before you practice some biblical principles, giving to the poor, giving to the church. You will never master it when you become wealthy. It's now that you are still on your way to wealth that you can master it. You can't master it when you get there. So, let's start the conversation by talking about prioritization. It's a very important foundational discourse in the subject of wealth or the wisdom of wealth. Prioritization, because we all know that wealth refers to treasures or valuables. And when the conversation is about valuables, we have to begin to talk about importance. What is important in the scale of preference? What is number one? What is number two? And for many people, the problem is not that they are not wise to earn money. The problem is that they are not wise enough to give money its rightful place. Money cannot be number one. To put money as the first thing in your life is to do something foolish. Money cannot be the most important thing about life. No. Money cannot be the most important thing in making a marital decision. Money cannot be the most important factor in determining where you will live. Money cannot be the most important thing in determining your career path. If you don't know where money belongs in the scale of preference, you may be rich, but you will end up like the rich fool. Let's see Luke chapter 12 and verse 21 again. We read that a couple of times last week. But let's see some of the things that Jesus said afterwards concerning this rich fool. Luke chapter 12 and verse 21. The major argument against this man was that he was not rich towards God. He was not rich towards God. So is he who lays up treasure for himself? You can lay up treasure for yourself. You can learn the wisdom of accumulating treasure But if you're not rich towards God, your description will be rich fool. And the thing with a rich fool is that there is no guarantee of continuity. Like this man, God said tonight, your soul will be required of thee. And I'm not saying everybody will lose their life, but they can lose their wealth. Are you listening to me? Yes, God warned Israel, the day you become wealthy and rich, don't forget, I am he that giveth the power to make wealth. Don't forget. If you put money over me, I will make you poor again. You will see. You will learn that now God they make me wealthy. You have to learn it. If you become arrogant, I will shut the heavens. There will be no rain. So that you will learn the lesson. People have made money in life, and they did not have this wisdom of, on the scale of preference, where should money belong? Where does money belong to? Is money number one? Is money number two? Is money number three? For many of us, money is 1, 2, 3. And let me say this, money should never be 1 or 2 or 3. Never be. Never be. I mean, there are so many other weightier matters in life. But if you have not learned this wisdom of wealth, not just to obtain wealth, but to maintain it. So in the foundational lessons of priority, the first thing is, let nothing come before God. God is first. God is first. Money inclusive, God is first. God is first. It's really unfortunate what money has done to many Christians. It's sad. What the pursuit of wealth. And I can understand in a very, difficult era of economic times. Economic hardship, rather. You would probably justify many of the actions that many believers make towards trying to earn a living. But money must never be God. Money must not be the most important thing about life. You remember that it is God who gives power to make wealth. When you have wealth, don't use wealth to displace God. Learn this lesson now. Learn this lesson now. And it is easier to establish now, where your hand never really touch ego. It may be easier. Discipline yourself. So what you tell yourself is that even if there is no much money, your devotion and service to God will never be affected. Let me say it. If lack of money affects your relationship with God, abundance of money will also affect your relationship with God. And people say, the reason why is because I don't have. You know that if you have, you will still say, the reason, you won't even say it. But it will be obvious that thing will now make you lukewarm. When you have so much, serve God with all your heart and with all your wealth. When you have so little, serve God with all your heart and with all your health, with all your wealth. Never allow money become the determinant to your fervency. Are you listening to me? So, but it's a priority issue. God is too important to allow money relegate him. God is too important. That's not a wise thing to do. If you don't understand the place of money, you will not see yourself as a steward. A Christian is a steward. Whatever money comes your way, you are supposed to be a steward of it. God trusts you with money, trusts you with wealth, so that you can steward it. You can manage it on his behalf. When the parable of the talents was given, the ultimate profit goes to God, not to the servants. The profit belongs to God. The servants will be rewarded, but the profit or the loss goes to God. That's why the man that buried his talent, God was very angry with him, or the master was very angry with him. Why would you bury the talent? Why don't you give it to the bank so that it can at least yield interest? I must earn something. You're a steward. Your reward will come. But if you don't put money in its rightful place, you won't see yourself as that. Let's make some progress here because of time. So, in Luke chapter 12 verse 21, the key word I want you to focus on is, there is something called being rich towards God. In the NLT, put this in another version. Let's do the NLT. It uses the word rich in your relationship towards God. So is he who lays up treasures for himself and is not rich in his relationship with God. That's what the NLT says. So, money must not determine the wealth or what's the word now? It must not determine how wealthy your relationship is with God. Money must not. Whether the lack of money or the abundance of money. Make sure that no matter what, you are rich towards God. Let God be able to say, this person is rich towards me. If you accumulate treasure for yourself and you're not rich towards God, the sentence from heaven is that is a measure of foolishness. Now, after God, the next thing to value is people. After God is not money. Once again, money is not number one, it's not number two, it's not number three, it's not number four. Unfortunately, this is actually very strange, because for many of us, even though we don't say it, if God checks our heart, the first thing that we will find there in the scale of preference is money. After God, the next thing is people. People. You see that in the life and ministry of Jesus. After God, the next is people. The next treasure that Jesus had after God were the treasures of people. The treasure of people. The treasure of people. The wealth of people. Are you listening to me? For some of us, we know how to make money, but we don't know how to make and keep people. Now you will not discover in your evil day there are certain things that only people can help you out of. Money will not be able to help you out. Are you listening to me? You heard Apostle Duja's story one day. He felt the pangs of death around him. In the day that death will come visiting, you will not be able to bribe death. But he had a woman in his life who could call him and say, "Where are you? Kneel down, let me pray for you. I cancel the power of death." Now listen to me. If you don't value people and know that people are more important than money, you will have money, oh, but in the day something bigger than money will show up. You will not say that, hey, this money where I get is not so useful like that. Are you listening to me? If you put money over people, you don't know what you are doing. Oh, money will fail. Money can fail. Money can fail. Money has failed before. There are things money cannot answer to, or there are things that money cannot influence. And although that scripture that suggests money answered all things has been very well misunderstood, you have to, as a Christian, know what it means. All things there does not mean all things. I've taught you this two weeks ago. All things there does not mean all things. It means the things that are discussed in that context. The wine and the honey that was talked about in that preceding verse is what it says can answer all things. Money can answer all things. No, it can't. It is important, it has its place, but it's not number one, it's not number two. After God, people, value people, treasure people. There are many people here who can betray their best friends if they are bribed. Who can assassinate. Maybe they won't go that. Okay. Yeah, they will assassinate, at least in terms of assassination of character. They may not assassinate with a gun and a bullet, but they can assassinate character if they are bribed. If somebody gives you money and say, I like you, I like you, I like you. But that your friend, I don't like her, I don't like her. You say, me too, I don't like her too. As a consequence, you say, me too, I don't like her too. You're that cheap. You're that cheap. You don't know the value of people. There are days where only men. The day David lost his throne, David the king lost his throne, his son was going to smuggle it out of his hands. It was his mighty men that kept him going. They hid in a cave. His mighty men were still with him. His mighty men. You can lose mighty money, but don't lose your mighty men. Are you listening to me? There are points in destiny where the only thing that will bail you out is your mighty man. If you may have plenty of money, but it will not count for much. It will not count for much. I'm not saying money is not important, please. I'm saying know the wisdom of wealth. Give money its proper place. It's not number one, it's not number two. Many of us are only taught how to make money. And I'm telling you, wealth is not just about money. Are you taught how to make and keep people? True friends, faithful friends, faithful friends. If you know how to make money as a young man and you don't know how to make a wife, you can marry a wife that will squander all your money, squander your resources, and you'll be wondering, I thought I was a brilliant man. I thought I was a money-making machine. Are you listening to me? So, after God, it is people. Now, in this direction, I want to encourage you. Learn the value of people. Treat people the way God treats them. God values people. So value people too. Respect people. Love people. Honor people. The way you, I know you respect money. I don't have any doubt that anybody here respects money. Are you listening to me? And if I have a doubt, I can just do a simple experiment. Some of you right now that are already losing me, if I say I want to do giveaway, you will come alive. If I say I want to do giveaway now, and that in the next 3 minutes I will do giveaway, and the giveaway is a 6 figures giveaway, you may begin to pray in tongues. Oh God, locate me. Oh God, locate me. You respect money. Money has your attention. I'm saying respect people too. Give people respect. Value people. Honor people. People are more important than money. There are things that only people can help you with. And even if you have money, even if you say you want to buy people, you will buy the wrong kind of people. Anybody that can be bought with money, it's not too valuable. Yeah. Oh, in the day when David lost his throne, you could not bribe his mighty men. You could not. They were like, well, we have always known you as the king. We cannot serve any other person. So we'll stay here with you. Even if we die here, we'll die here. You cannot bribe loyal people. They are faithful. Faithful. There are people that can be bribed out of churches. Are you listening to me? Growing up in church, I remember many of our colleagues playing keyboard like Brother Toba. Where are you? I've changed church. What happened? Somebody promised them 20K every month to be playing. They forget it. Even if the church is a shrine, they're off, they're gone. They just follow the money. Let's progress here. In conclusion to the point about valuing money, please take interest in people genuinely, not because they are wealthy or because they are rich. Take interest in people, love people irrespective of their financial state or financial status. Respect people irrespective of their financial state or financial status. Being woman is enough to earn your respect. You don't have to say, this person is rich, I will respect him. It takes a great deal of discipline. Listen, I'm saying. Are you listening to me? If I go into the bank like this, if I want to make it worse, I now wear my jacket and put poker square. And I get to the bank and I say, can I see the manager? From the security manager, yes, sir. But many times I've gone to that place with a t-shirt and a jean. And the security man who asked me, what do you want? I'll say, I want to withdraw. He said, withdraw what? I said, no. You know what happens? Once I say it's a check, they say, check. Where done, sir? Then after I come back, they will notice my face. They say, where done, sir? And there are many Christians like that. And I will tell you the other side of it, because there are two sides. But don't be a very shallow, artificial Christian that you only size people up by how much does he have? How much does he have? No, that's not too wise. Are you listening to me? So take interest in people, not because you want to gain from them. And once you notice somebody is rich, you now begin to, no, that's not a very pure thing to do. Let me say this. Let me talk about this just as an extension to the next point. If you have rich friends, you must also be wise. I've discovered many people have lost rich friends because, first of all, they initiated the relationship on that basis. And the truth is that nobody wants to be used. You may deceive them for a while, but they will find out. Are you listening to me? It's good to have rich friends. I have rich friends. I have wealthy friends. I don't have as much money, but I have friends that if there's an emergency and I need to gather something, I have. My real wealth is in people. I have people that they tell me, if you need anything, tell me. And for 50 years, I may never tell them I need anything. Yeah. You have to know the wisdom of relating with rich friends. Just because somebody told you if you need anything, tell me. Then from henceforth, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is on their bill. You lose them like that. You have to be wise. This thing I'm saying, some of you don't know this thing. Somebody may give you a free check, a blank check. Be wise. You know, as children we were taught, it's not everything you receive, even from visitors. Sometimes they give you something, mother will look at you, don't collect it. Takpada. Omo iluabi. How do you ever say it now? You don't collect everything. You must not be seen as greedy, covetous, trying to always be a nuisance, trying to be a pest, a parasite. And some people like that. Be wise. There are people that I've known for years who are wealthy. I've never asked anything. But when they feel they should give me things, they give me things. And I've told myself, this person, this is how I'm going to keep it. When they want to give me, but when I want to ask them, if there's an emergency, I'm going to go to them. I may go to some other people that are not even at the wealthy. So you have to learn how to manage. Jesus had rich friends, but he did not overwhelm them. You want to do one crusade here, you must bring money. Yeah. Most of the times he received free will offerings. He was not tasking anybody anything. So you must learn how to manage wealthy friends in terms of monetary value. Now let's go ahead here. In terms of management, let's talk about managing resources. Please don't be a waster. Manage your resource or your resources very prudently. These are simple common sense instructions, but I want to drive it home. Jesus at the point fed 5,000 people, Matthew chapter 14 and verse 20, 14:20 of Matthew 14. Fed 5,000 people, and then there were excess baskets of the supernatural provision. Remember, it was supernatural provision. Jesus did not leave it on the field. He said, gather it together. Nothing waste. Even though it was like supernatural, it was supernatural provision. It did not cost him anything. But he says nothing must waste. Gather everything. It's not fair for you, for instance, as a student, to be wasting your parents' money. It's not fair. One of the things that constrained me in school, before I became independent at 200 level, thereabout. Before I became independent, I remembered the sufferings of my parents. My parents were poor. Why will I come to school and be doing big man? Why? My mother sometimes, I knew that what she gave me, she sacrificed her lunch and dinner. She would just take only breakfast and say, my children are more important. So why would I now go to school and be giant? No. Let's be reasonable here. You see some people the way they live in school. When you now visit their house at home, so this is your house. Hey, this is where your parents live. They toil night and day. Some of them do extreme jobs just to send you small pocket money. And look at what you are using to do big man. Wearing designer in school. You are wicked and foolish. And foolish. Are you listening to me? Yes, I know how I lived as a student. And you don't, now this is it. The simple thing is live according to how you earn. Don't allow your roommates to provoke you. Your roommate, they go canteen. You said they go canteen. Wait. In this life, there are about 4 options of where you can eat. There is cafeteria. You know cafeteria? There is restaurant. There is canteen. There's buka. Mama put. You all have your levels. Are you listening to me? My wife, she makes sliced cakes. I will be observing you people. Now, we thank God. Patronize my wife, I'll be observing you people. If I see that you are ordering sliced cakes, and I examine you, and I notice it can be traced to a measure of simplicity. Some people have ordered things from my wife who are still owing. They are owing pastor's wife. I'm serious. You can ask her. I've had to cancel like 2 or 3 debts. I say, no worry, I'm a church member. No verse. I will pay the debt. I'm talking about funds that go to 7,000, 10,000. Somebody is doing food tray for a boyfriend. Simplicity. You are doing food tray for your boyfriend. You cannot afford it. You now say, oh, Mama, don't worry. I'll balance you later. You are a simple fool. It is what it is. If I don't tell you the truth, God will scold me. Be wise. For what? Your boyfriend that may not even marry you at the end? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let's have sense in this life, Jare. Are you listening to me? Necessary. Buy a boxer for him. If that's what you can afford. It's all right. Stop trying to do more than your capacity. I cut it for 7 years. I know what it is. I remember one day, one of my wife's friends was very angry with me. So in church, we were having a service. Kilo shele. So I noticed that she and my wife were looking somehow. The girl, what? Nobody talked to me. So one day she said, well, after a while, she now called me out of the church. She said, you are supposed to know what is happening now. I said, I don't know. I'm not a witch. I'm not a witch. I'm not a wizard. And the prophetic grace is not operating. Please tell me what happened. So today is the anniversary. I said, anniversary? Anniversary of what? I said, you have forgotten that today, exactly 1 year ago, you asked that out. I said, I forgot it. I didn't even remember. I said, okay, so what is the implication? Say you're supposed to buy something. I know calculate this thing well. I know say that this will be. He said, yes. I said, oh, that's why 2 of you are not happy. I said, give me some minutes. I went out and bought church bread and little milk. You say Jesus. My wife was happy. No, they do pass yourself. If she like you, she like you. If she don't like you, you just dey waste your time. She go just chop your money, dump you last. Are you listening to me? They collect loan to celebrate Valentine. You are a stupid fool. Collect loan to celebrate Valentine? Hey! Demonic attack, no, they pass this one. Be wise. Smarten up your soul. Don't do stupid things. Come on, you have so many years to celebrate life. Why enter into debt for nothing? Nobody, when I was a student, nobody intimidated me. I came to school with 2 shirts and 2 trousers. Okay, I have some witnesses of that dimension here. You don't care anybody. Now clothes you don't get, you don't care anybody. And this clothes you go still get down. In those days, when people gave me ropes, I wore it as ties. When people gave me rags, I wore them as suits. When people gave me 500 naira, I double it to say thank you. Now, if you want to give me something, you think twice. Somebody was coming from Ibadan one day. She said, the boyfriend sent a rope to me. He said I should give you this. I opened it immediately. I check things. I check. I said, please return it to him. Tell him that he doesn't know me. I don't know him. But that I'm sorry. There's some things I don't collect. There's some things that are rude and dishonorable. I said, if I'm going to give him something, I will not give him anything in a less than a particular amount of money. And he's a stranger. I don't know him. I said, I'm not a beggar. If you gave me this, if you met me 5 years ago, I will collect this one. But this rope you have given me, a tie that he wore the tie, watched this severally, it had faded. He wore it. He gave me. I said, this man is a fool. I said, return it to him and tell him to learn honor. Tell him to learn honor. And I told her, see if this person want to marry. I weep for your generation. If that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. But in those days, if you gave me that rope, I would do online Thanksgiving. So, everybody have their seasons. Everybody have their seasons. And it's not because I am proud. It's because if I wear that robe, come you now, come preach, you don't go like me. You say, Pastor, I don't like this robe where you wear. How much is tie? This one where you wear, I don't like. You will not. In fact, you will say I don't have anointing. Because of the yeah. So my work demands that I appear in a particular way. Are you listening to me? But it never used to be like that. But when it was like that, when I was that small, I didn't allow anybody to intimidate me. Whatever I had, I used. We ironed it, washed it, starched it, cleaned it, used it. So don't be very prudent, please. You know what you can afford. You know what you can afford. One more thing in this direction. Please don't be addicted to pleasure. Be addicted to profit. Because the book of Proverbs seemingly warns repeatedly about how the addiction to pleasure can cause poverty. In fact, will certainly cause poverty. So for instance, we have scriptures like Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 17. Let's look at it, and then Proverbs 23 and verse 21. These scriptures paint a picture of how people become poor in life. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. So love here will refer to loving in an obsessive measure. Are you listening to me? To love pleasure is not wrong, but when it becomes an obsessive measure of love, it is a facilitator for poverty. Some of you just like clothes. You go to the boutique and just say, hey, how much is this one? How much? You know the buy you got, you just like. Be careful, just be careful. Some of you just like bags or shoes. Any bag or shoe vendor like this, you have their number. Don't let it be an obsessive love. Love profit, don't love pleasure. So wine and oil here can mean food. It can mean football. It can mean games. It can mean anything that gives pleasure. If you love it in an obsessive measure, you can become poor out of it. You can become poor because of it. What's the other scripture I quoted? Proverbs 23, verse 21. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and the drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. The drunkard spends all his money drinking. The pleasure of one bottle is what makes him poor. It's not because it is a sin to drink, that's why he became poor. It is that he's addicted to drinking. Any pleasure that becomes an addiction will make you poor. Are you listening to me? Some people have become addicted to gambling. And there are so many sad stories of people wanting to commit suicide now. Use their school fees to gamble. Even if you are addicted to money, you become poor. Be addicted to profit. But remember that it is not only money that is profit. So, drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty. Please, let us be wise. I am appealing to you and imbibe this. Some of you have come to my house. If you came to my house when I was not married, you might most likely eat a food without any protein. And that's what I ate too. Are you listening to me? Except you're a guest, you eat a food without protein. Now we are beginning to upgrade small. Some chonkolo meat is appearing now on our guest food. Chonkolo meat. In the next 5 years, hopefully we'll be able to give buffets of protein. But for now, I'm not trying to impress you. I will never try to impress you. Now waiting I chop, now you go chop. If you don't like me, they go. I'm not threatened by that. But I know go come say, yeah, let's go and use what we don't have. And me too. I don't say because I'm a man or girl, I must eat some dimensions of protein. I give my wife the allocated budget for every month for food, and whatever she serves me, I'm fine with it. Whatever she serves me is what she serves every other person, I'm fine with it. It's discipline, it's prudence, it's the attitude of wealthy men. Yeah. You don't eat just because you feel like eating it. Now, if you have cravings, that's okay. To have cravings is okay. But when every day you're having cravings, it's a setup for poverty. Every day. Every day. But now, are you listening to me? Yes. Let's go ahead here, please. I've spoken about prioritization. I've spoken about management. Let me talk about value addition. You must add value to yourself. This subject of wealth and the wisdom of wealth, you must add value to yourself. Now, if you don't add value to yourself, there are certain dimensions of wealth that will elude you. Yeah. Once again, wealth is not just about money. For instance, if you want a valuable husband, you yourself must be a valuable wife material. Is that not so? And you become a valuable wife material by adding value to yourself. Add value to yourself. Invest in yourself. And let me say this, for some of us, we like a woof. We are the awoof generation. We don't want to spend on ourselves concerning things that will add value to us. We want free education. We want free spiritual growth. We want free mental upgrade. Everything must be free. There are seminars you will have to pay for to attend. There are books you will have to buy to read. There are videos you will have to use your data to watch so that you can become a better person. You will have to learn to invest in yourself. Stop all this free, awoof, free. No! If you are going to become a valuable person, invest in yourself. Now, I was saying that I was going to give the other side to things like dressing well. Let me tell you emphatically, in our present world, carnality is the philosophy. What that means is that people often judge you according to how you appear. Are you listening to me? Yes, now, while we agree that you may not be very wealthy, you can package yourself. Some people, just because they are not too rich, will not even buy clothes up. No. How much is clothes up? You are buying data, you are not buying clothes up. To do what? What do you want use data to do? You want to stand before kings and open your mouth to wow. No! Buy clothes up is important. No matter how costly clothes up is, buy it. It's a very important part of your life. I'm not even mentioning clothes up. I'm doing free adverts for them. I mean toothpaste. While growing up, there was some kind of toothpaste we could not afford. We used to see the adverts of close up on TV. You know, close up was very that time. Oh, I don't know if now, but that time, they will gather some couple. In fact, I used to play with a carton of when I was very young. My parents were a bit comfortable that time. I remember a carton of close up. I used to play and fantasize that those couple on that carton are my parents. Oh yeah, that's how captivating those faces were. When they shine their teeth, they say, now teeth be this. But when hardship set in our family, I remember at a point using just salt and toothbrush, salt. But you must brush your mouth. Are you listening to me? You cannot refuse to add value on yourself and expect people not to treat you with contempt, not to disrespect you. Now, their disrespect of you is wrong, I agree. but you made it possible. You gave them a chance to. Are you listening to me? You gave them a chance to. It's a carnal world, and people will judge based on physical things. They just look at you and size you up and say, you're this person. Sometimes when I want to camouflage my identity, I go in as very commonly dressed as possible. Nobody is even suspecting this is PJ. Nobody can ever suspect. They said they really know my face. If anybody disrespects me, I know it's because they don't know me. Once they know me, we're sorry, sir. I did not know it's you. Well, I just came here to hide. So, if you want respect, especially amongst carnal people, secular people. Now, when I say secular people, in the church of God here, we are teaching you honor all people, even if they are not well dressed. Is that not so? Yes, but don't go to a job interview not dressed, not kept, and be saying Ramanash tegedefede. That is simplicity of the eyes to that. I say, can they see beyond the physical? No, they will not see beyond the physical. We read of Daniel in Daniel chapter 1, how one of the criteria to stand before the kings was that they were supposed to be well dressed. They were supposed to be fashioned in a particular way. I think I taught you this sometime last year. What was I teaching myself? Spirituality or something like that. I taught you what spirituality is not. And I told you it's not about looking shabbily dressed, wearing red and green trouser, and then saying people should see your spirit. That can happen in church, but in the outside, you are going to be businessmen. You are proposing something to somebody to invest in, and you are appearing no packaging, no, and you are saying just by prayer, no. Joseph, when he was going to appear before Pharaoh, he shaved. Are you listening to me? Yes, he shaved. You want to stand before the king? There's a way you must appear. You can't appear in a particular way and say, I don't even know why kings are not coming. Look at yourself now. I don't know why people are not coming. Oh yeah, let's honestly ask yourself, if you were the other person, will you marry you? Will you want to marry you if you were the other person? Just be honest. With your packaging, we know we should walk by faith and not by sight, for you to make the work easy. For there's no mediocrity in God now. Are you listening to me? So we are not saying you should be dressing like me all the time, but the one you have, keep it clean, keep it tidy, keep it neat, keep it presentable. I told you 2 trousers, 2 shirts was what I had. Keep it. I had to wash every day. That's the implication. Wash every day, and sometimes squeeze clothes with towel so it can dry. But I would rather do that than wear something dirty. Never. I might have not been the well dressed, but if you are with me close range, you will not feel uncomfortable. Are you listening to me? Yeah. So invest in yourself. You know, it's very useful in terms of the kind of wealth environment that you create. Let's go ahead here. One last point. Wealth creation. And I will say 3 things in this direction. Wealth creation. The wisdom of wealth involves learning how to create wealth. Now, for wealth creation, I want to start with the fact that most of us will not become wealthy overnight. It's going to be accumulation of wealth. It's going to take time. That's why get rich quickly schemes is not compatible with the Christian faith. I'm not saying that there are no sudden explosions of wealth, but for most of us, you would grow in it. Are you listening to me? There are things I could not afford 10 years ago, I can afford them now. There are funds I could not give my parents 2 years ago, I can give them now. We will grow in wealth. We will grow in wealth. So no pressures, no unnecessary attempt to get there before your time, as it were. If God gives you sudden wealth, fine. But for most of us, the natural sequence is that we will grow in it. Proverbs 28 and verse 20 to 22. A faithful man would abound with blessings, but he who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. Now, the word who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished means that people who hasten to be rich would often commit crimes to be rich, and they will be caught. There's so much crime happening, so much, and they'll be caught, and they will not go unpunished. So, there's no point working hard in the negative, only to be punished eventually. It's not a Bible way. But I know that many of us, we somehow think that, or some people, I don't think it's many of us, at least if you're a member of this church, some Christians believe that how they make wealth is not important. It is what they do with the wealth that is important. But it's not true. It's not true. God is interested in the process and in the end. Verse 21. To show partiality is not good, because for a piece of bread a man will transgress. Verse 22. A man with an evil eye hastens after riches. The word hastens there is that he does not practice the principle of accumulating wealth and does not consider that poverty will come upon him. So eventually he will be poor. He will be poor. If you don't know patience in wealth creation, you will be poor. Yeah. You will make terrible financial mistakes because you want to blow overnight. You lose so much because you want to make it overnight. Learn patience. One of the wisdoms in wealth is the patience of wealth accumulation. Are you listening to me? Yes, it's not everything you can afford now, but don't worry. If you stay faithful, you stay diligent, gradually things will begin to ease up. Next thing I want to say here is that you must cultivate reliability. You must be reliable. Cultivate reliability. Particularly for those involved in business, your biggest selling point is that you are reliable. Let me encourage you as a young person, young man, young woman, cultivate reliability. Something as simple as coming on time, opening on time, can determine whether your customers will increase or reduce. Something as simple as effectively communicating when certain things will not be available can determine whether your customers will increase or reduce. For instance, in a church setting, one of the things I hate is for a church service to start late because people are not yet around. If one person is around, start. Because what happens is that you are training them not to trust in you. So when you tell them it's for 6, they say 6, but they will come back. It's 7, they will start. They are waiting for us. What happens is that nobody's going to take you serious. Businessmen have office time, opening hours, closing time, such that you can predict when they will be there and when they will not be there. When you're not reliable and you're in business, nobody is going to trust you with money. Are you listening to me? If you're not going to open shop, you can announce, we will not open on Thursday. That's what banks do. They will send a mail. Customers, there's going to be, we are closing early by next week, Thursday. We are closing by 2. That's trust, so that you can trust them and you can give them money to keep. Now, because people that keep money have to be very reliable. So banks know the implication of losing trust. That's why one of the ways you can harass a bank is just to threaten them on Twitter. You deducted 5 naira from my account, and for what? The bank manager can call you and say, what's your name? We'll return your 5 naira. Leave us, don't disturb us on Twitter. Everybody has a name to protect, and one of that names is trust, reliability. So if you are doing business, you are going to, somebody gave you an order, it's going to come late, you call, it will be late. Christmas time will soon come now. Some tailors, the cost that they will collect, and some of those costs work. Are you listening to me? Yes, sir. Because you collected money. I saw one man's status. He posted a picture of a tailor, and I was very heartbroken. And he wrote there, this man is a criminal. I said, what happened? You have spoiled this man's business. And I know the man was just recovering from debt because he used money to play Naira bet, and they arrested him. I'm serious, sir. I said, this guy is just recovering. Why did you spoil his name again? He said, we paid money for wedding. The groom's clothes inclusive. 1 week to the wedding, this tailor called and said he's not going to be able to deliver because of some issues. We raised double the money and said, okay, take the money again, make sure you deliver. The man still did not deliver. On wedding day, groom had to go and be looking for what can I win. On his own wedding day. If they curse him there, you start saying, no curse come. New Christian reality. You don't know. That is a curse already. That's a be reliable. You collect the money, say, I'll do it, I'll deliver, I'll do it, I'll deliver. You have collected 10 other jobs. You know you will not deliver. You know, because this one is not a soldier. You have collected the one as a soldier. You say, this soldier one must deliver. If I don't deliver to a soldier, I will sleep in cell. So you say, this one must. This other one is a pastor, is a gentleman. We gave one man work to do on our restrooms. We paid him full for 3 months. Was it 3 months, more than 3 months, Mr. Sam? Like more than 3 months. Do the work the man did not do. Do the work the man did not do. 3 months. I kept telling him, I said, it's because we are a church now. We are a church. We had to eventually pay the money to another person. And this is somebody who is on our streets. He walks like this and greets us. Pastor, I can't. Now somebody said, I don't know why my business is not growing. You have said, now you think I will ever give that kind of person a job or recommend it to somebody else? Because one of the ways business grows is by referrals. Somebody, you do a good job, somebody says, this person is a good job. He does a good job, I would recommend him or refer him to somebody. But when you are not reliable, are you listening to me? Cultivate reliability. Cultivate it. And it doesn't even have to start from the business world. As a person, be reliable. I grew up understanding accountability and reliability. On simple matters, I will apologize. Oh, sorry, I could not make up this. I could not meet up with this. It's just a sense of accountability. That way, any measure of mediocrity, my conscience will prick me. Are you getting it? If you nurture that kind of a mindset and you become a business person, you'll be trustworthy. Trustworthy. And this is how people begin to grow empires. One last thing, and I will want to stretch this a little bit. Just 5-10 minutes more. Consider laziness as the greatest enemy of wealth. It is not deliverance from demons. Some of you may need. It's deliverance from sleep. Put it in Proverbs 6 that we read earlier. And verse 4. Proverbs 6 and verse 4. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Hold on. Go to verse 2. I'm not sure I'm quoting this context right. Go to verse 1. Okay, no. So the context from verse 1 to verse 5 is about pledging for a stranger. So that deliverance context is not in the context of sleep. So go down to verse 6. Go to the ant, you slugger. So the conversation should start from here. Do you understand what I'm doing? I'm just being true to Bible interpretation. The first conversation in verse 1 spoke about being a guarantor for somebody who went to take a loan. So when it says deliver yourself like a gazelle, it's talking about go and change the covenant of the guarantor form. That's what it's talking about. It's not really talking about the sluggard conversation. But in verse 6, sluggard conversation begins. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides the supplies in the summer and gathers the food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? Everybody say, rise. A little sleep, a little slumber. A little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an amna. Put it in the NLT. I like the way the NLT says it. It uses a very common term in Nigeria today. Proverbs 6:11. Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Everybody say bandit. Bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. When you give yourself to excess sleep and slumber, You have to consider laziness as the greatest enemy of wealth creation, greatest enemy of wealth maintenance. Sleep, slumber, slothfulness. There are many scriptures that affirm this truth, particularly in Proverbs. Proverbs 13:11. I want to say this strongly concerning ladies that are in a relationship or that believe that they would marry a minister. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be diminished, but he who gathers by labor, everybody say by labor. It's by labor you gather. And I'm not so comfortable with an overemphasis on spectacular divine provisions. An overemphasis. Because it is by labor you gather. There are miracles that can bail you out. But you are supposed to live by the blessing. And the blessing works by blessing the work of your hands, the labor of your hands. So there are many people who are not doing anything. Or just waiting for one miracle money and not doing anything. And I can say, hey man, go and work, go and labor. Are you listening to me? Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 4. I was going to talk about ladies who feel that they may cut or marry ministers. Laziness is manifest in every profession. I'm a full-time minister of the gospel, so I am not against the idea of being devoted to the work of ministry. If I have to minister to you consistently, there are some jobs I cannot have. That's just the truth. It's lazy, that's why it's not working. No, it's that if I'm going to minister to you consistently, and to be a pastor, you cannot hear me once in a while. My voice must always re-echo. I must be the dominant voice in your heart. But somebody may use this trick to cover his laziness. Are you listening to me? Yes, and there are many women who are falling victim. Say, he's a man of God. He's not doing anything. No problem. Now, in the work of the ministry, how much does he labor? How much does he labor? You don't even have to check his preparation time. Check his output. You will know how much he labors. You will know a well-prepared sermon when you hear it. You will know a well-worked prayer leading moment. You will know a well-worked Bible study outline. You will know somebody who labored in the ministry, not by checking how much time it is. Because some people, even in their preparations, they have a way of masking their listening. They can be praying and be thinking about something else, and they will say they are praying. They're doing 12 hours, but their mind, so they cannot trump any revelation from heaven. They are lazy even in their prayers, but they're doing 12 hours prayer. They're doing 12 hours prayer. But when you see them talk, and I say, so you have been praying for 12 hours. Now, this is what you could come up with. Are you listening to me? Check output. If output suggests laziness, the person is lazy. Don't ever say, no, the future will be bright. Even when I was raw and unrefined, you could see the labor in my work. My wife did not meet me as polished. Are you listening to me? I watch some of my videos and I laugh. I say, Brother Judah. Talking as if hot yam is in his mouth. They will give us 15 minutes to take exhortation, 15 minutes. The first time I was invited to minister, I fasted 3 days dry. I put labor. Now, if I look at the notes that I preached, I say, this is not a proper thing to say. It was not well, but I still labored. And the people were blessed. God saw my heart and blessed the work of my hands. But God will not bless laziness. God will not bless laziness. There are ministers today, you tell them to preach, they go to YouTube, they watch a sermon. Lazy. What's lazy? Lazy. So if somebody says I'm a minister, so you know he's now using that one to cover and hide his supposed laboring or his supposed laziness. Check very well, low, and don't fall victim. Say, his future will be great. God will bless him. He suffer, we go suffer you. If he is doing the work, I believe the person that should work the most is a minister. It's not just doing physical work, it's doing spiritual work, it's doing mental work. I should work, you should labor. I should labor. So somebody is using spirituality to mask laziness. Be careful, be careful, be careful. He's always sleeping. When you ask him why, he says he's all night. It's a lie. It's a lie. Check it very well. The day you move to his house after marrying, you will discover it was not all night. Or it was all night, but it was all night movies. Not ordinary prayers. You will not see that. Check very well, be careful. You see, when somebody has a shabby attitude, it will reflect in everything he does. Are you listening to me? Some boys are too lazy to bathe well. This one will give you is a problem. If he's not working hard in other things, you think you work hard in the Bible? Sometimes, but then hard work should reflect everywhere. Everywhere should show that. Everywhere should carry a signature of diligence. Everywhere. So, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 4. He who has a slack hand becomes poor. What will happen to him? He becomes poor if he has a slack hand. But the hand of the diligent does what? It is the hand of the diligent. It's not just the hand of the Christian or the hand of the blessed man or the hand of the anointed, the hand of the diligent. Work, labor. Work, labor. Work, labor. I know what it is to labor in ministry. To labor when nobody's watching. To labor when nobody can see you. Because if you see people, and I will emphasize this on Sunday, if you see people just blow suddenly, you would think, his favor, his grace. But many times there's labor. Behind the scene, it's labor. Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 15. If somebody is lazy, he's cutting you, but he's lazy. It's not a calling type, it's not a texting type, it's not a chatting type. You think, you say he has a great future. What do you mean by that? Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. Put it in a dangerous version, NLT. Lazy people sleep soundly. I'm not the one that said it. The truth is, now listen, there's another scripture that says that the sleep of a laboring man is sweet. Are you listening to me? The context here is that when it is not time for sleep, a lazy man will sleep comfortably. It's not time for sleep. He's supposed to be on his toes. He's supposed to be at attention. In that moment where everybody is on their toes, he will sleep, and he will sleep soundly. He will sleep because he's a lazy man. And idleness leaves them hungry. When they now wake up, they will not be hungry. That combination is very terrible. Yeah, for somebody to sleep too much and does not work enough, he will always be hungry, because there's a way sleep resets your hunger setting. So, I want to eat. Go back and sleep. How do you get? Oh dear. Are you getting it? So deal with slothfulness. Proverbs 20:13. One more scripture here. Of Proverbs. Do not love sleep, lest you come to what? Open your eyes and you'll be satisfied with bread. Open your hands, open your mind. You know me here, that's one of the ways you can annoy me. If I'm talking to you, you are sleeping. You know why it annoys me? It is laziness. I'm not saying that all my sermons are always exciting. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you are lazy, and I'm worried for you. I'm worried for you. You are lazy. You don't know it's laziness. You say it's tiredness. You are lazy. There's a scripture I'm looking for. Let me look for it. You know, because there's something about laziness that wastes when all things are ready. Proverbs 12:27. Now let's look at this scripture and let's examine and soul search. Proverbs 12:27. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting. What that means is that the lazy man actually works hard to hunt. He gets the hunting stuff, or he gets the antelope. But his laziness, after he has worked hard to hunt, to get that antelope, his laziness will not let him roast it. So the antelope will waste, decay. How do you dress up, do makeup, come to church and say, I'm tired, that's why I slept? You are lazy. You are not tired. You are lazy. You woke up, you dressed up, you did makeup, you had a shower, you walked, took a bike. You got to the point where you're supposed to roast and hit the game you hunted. And then you said that, come on, guys. Labor. And all the scriptures we have spoken about, you see the synergy between sleep and slothfulness. Stop interpreting sleep only from a standpoint of tiredness. And there is tiredness. That is not without any doubt. That is true. You can be tired. But I'm saying most of these things is not tiredness. Predominantly, it is slothfulness. It is slothfulness. Work hard. This is how to sustain wealth. This is how the mentality of the wealthy runs. Are you listening to me? You know all those senators in the House of Reps and senators and House of Rep members, this is why, even though they are paid so much, they have impoverished the country. Where they're supposed to be having important discussion, you see them saying, I'm tired. And they slip off. And so somebody can pass a bill that is destructive to the economy of the nation. The person who was supposed to object to it was asleep. So I'm saying, and those sessions can be very demanding. Because if you're a senator of the Nigerian Republic, you should be healthy and fit. You should be able to do all nights, deliberating. Because being a senator is a big job. You are paid crazy money. So, cultivate diligence, hard work, be industrious, and consider slothfulness as the greatest enemy of wealth. Stand to your feet. Let's pray for a few seconds here. Pray in other tongues. Romanis te gerebados te kedishti frando dostos. Rekete kete brandos te genemana nana manashitos. Vive de vedus te grekandarabadas te greketo panas. Mekete grekete kobadisi kete komarana mas te grekete dos te grakatarabadas. Jekete kananama. Now trust me, God does not want you poor. God does not want you poor. And wealth is a possibility. It's accessible. There's a provision for it in Israel. There's a provision for it in Zion. But you need wisdom. You need wisdom. You need wisdom. There are people around you that God has orchestrated to help you in the path of wealth. As you pray, you are going to receive wisdom to manage them, to handle them. Vinana vananas te grekete kata kata ya labadastos. Jikete grengandera namas te grekete gada ya labadadas. Mekete grekete kada da 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 ste kobaranamas. Jinene menos te grekete grekata kata yala. In the business of life, you don't have to lose out. There is profit by wisdom. There's profit by wisdom. There's profit by wisdom. There's profit by wisdom. Makata grekete kobala. There are some people you will need to avoid though. If you will be wealthy, there are some people you will need to avoid. Wisdom will teach you. Wisdom will teach you. Wisdom will teach you. Mekete grekete kata yakata labadadash. Mekete grakada yakata yaladadabala manash. Rekeke shindarabadadadastes. Shake off that slumber. Shake off that slothfulness. I want you to loathe laziness. I want you to detest laziness in your soul. Every time it creeps in and give an excuse of, oh, I'm just tired. I want you to hate it. Hate simplicity. Hate slothfulness. Nakala yelebedoste krekete. Nakala bareste krekete krekete kabalabadadaba. Stop pampering yourself. You will destroy yourself like this. Hate slothfulness. Hate laziness. Hate to be a sluggard. Hate it. Love wisdom. Say to wisdom, you're my sister. The wisdom of diligence. Hallelujah. In Jesus' name we pray.